All right, welcome into the high noon edition of Pugs and Company, heard every Monday through Friday, noon till 2-ish. Today it'll go to 2-ish, I promise you that. We also double back and we do it again at 10 o'clock each night. We call that the Pillow Talk edition, 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we, get all in and about everything that's a little less formatted than, say, this portion. This show is all drip. Oh, hold on, Mr. Popular. What's going on here? Hold on. 2 voicemails. Should I listen to my voicemails? No, that would be unprofessional. And let me tell you, everything about this is professional. The high noon edition, which is what you're tuning into right now, what we like to do here is go through all the things that are trending, discuss why they're trending, and just sort of give you a full day's cheat sheet on what's happening in the world. So should anyone ever say to you, hey, did you hear about, you can say, hey, I sure did. Today is October the 13th. Here's some fun facts for you. Did you know it's the 286th day of the year? 286th day of the year. 79 days remain until the end of the year. What does that mean? Does that mean 79 days remain till the end of the year? Does that mean 72? Wait, 6, 7, 8, 79, 7. That means 72 days until Christmas? Huh? Christmas is fun. Although one of the things that are trending today that we'll go through is the supply chain issues. Supply chain. That's how we get goods to market. And apparently that's all jacked up. So the president's going to talk about that at some point today. I don't know. Are you going to fix it? Yeah, I don't know. All right, let's take a quick look and see what's trending here today. Oh boy. Okay, so here's the big one, I suppose, right? William Shatner is trending. Now, I got to be honest with you. I had no idea. I mean, I knew that he was going to space. Hold on. We need to take a step down here. There he is. He's he the artist, Emil. He joins us. So,
Man, running a little late. Sorry about that.
No worries. Never any. Just appreciate you here at all. I was just talking about everything that was trending today, as we want to do here on the High Noon Show, and the big thing that's trending is Shatner. Now, I got to be honest with you. I just learned a couple of days ago that William Shatner was going into space, so I assumed, as is the custom with all of these space missions, that he wasn't going to go for like a year. I mean, I assume there would be some kind of training the old dude would have to go through, some kind of press buildup. But I guess the press buildup was last Friday when they announced it. I mean, weren't you shocked? Did you realize it was happening today that they were going to shoot him up in there to space?
Yeah, because I was watching the news channels, and they were at the what's it called?
Blue Origin.
Yeah, Blue Origin launch site.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And it had been delayed for a little bit. And then they were showing the interview that Cavuto did with Shatner. And I was like, wow, 90 years old, and you get to go into space that quickly?
I'm shocked how quickly this happened. We mentioned it a couple of nights ago on Pillow Talk, but I wasn't even interested in discussing the whole idea of William Shatner going into space because I didn't think it was going to happen for like a year. I just assumed that this was going to. And then this morning, I'm watching this. I was only half paying attention. I pull up the TV and I see that they're doing something and the sound is down. And I'm like, oh, yeah, they're doing another one of these Blue Origin ones. But I don't suppose there's any reason for me to watch because there's nobody big going up. Not like last time where Bezos himself went up. And I know that Shatner's going up, but that surely can't be for a year or so. And I look down, and the little cryon on the screen says, William Shatner, about to go to, or whatever the hell it said. And I was like, what? Are you kidding? When did they tell Shatner? Like, how? Because here's the thing that I know about Shatner. All right, look, you beloved guy, sure. If you're a Star Trek fan, you love the guy. Boston Legal, I guess he was also famous for that. TJ Hooker for my generation. That's really the Shatner that I know, TJ Hooker. But here's one thing that I know about William Shatner. he ain't a humble guy. I mean, this guy, I've had opportunity to interview him. This guy will talk your ear off about anything. He is the definition of gregarious. So I just assumed that what did they must have told Shatner months ago that he was going, and he kept quiet about it until
Well,
Friday.
evidently, Virgin had asked him to go, and he turned him down. He
Okay, that's
said no.
Richard Branson in the
Yeah,
Virgin,
he told
airline.
Branson no, and so the only thing I can think is that he got more stock.
Right? Yeah, because
Right?
look, let's be honest about this. Shatner got paid. Shatner got paid
He always gets paid.
at Priceline.com, right?
Yeah,
Exactly,
he
whatever.
always gets paid.
Shatner got paid for this. At some point, he realized that all these billionaires were competing for publicity, and he probably, well, not probably, but he went, "Hey, who would be a bigger like celebrity? What would make most sense what would get the media talking the most? What would be the most interesting, most bang for your celebrity buck?" Captain Kirk, of course. So I am certain that there was a bidding war to send Captain Kirk into space.
See, I don't think he thought about going to space.
No.
I think that Richard Branson thought about him going to space and thought about the marketing of sending Captain Kirk to space.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, then the bell went off in his head. And he
Yeah.
was like, oh, wait a minute. So you will take a 90-year-old guy to space. Ah, let me
Really?
see.
You
What are
mean
my options?
I don't have to go through insane astronaut training anymore, and I
Well,
don't
and
have
that's the
to
thing.
necessarily
Like,
have the right stuff?
when you're 90 years old, are you really going to train for a year to
No, you
go to
can't.
space?
When you're
No.
90 years old, you don't have a year.
Well, you might not have a day. I mean,
Right.
so I mean, I think the whole novelty of him going to space when you're 90, like, are you really worried? Okay, well, what if something bad happens? So, like, you already got 90 years on the ground. If you go out as Captain Kirk in space, well, I guess it was meant to be.
When I'm 90, I'm not gonna be afraid of anything. That's house money at that point. I mean, just live your life, boy, because every breath could be your last.
You
Don't stress.
say that, but do you really think you're not going to be afraid of anything?
No, no. Well, of course. I mean, pain. Nobody
Yeah,
wants
you're not going to want to put yourself
pain.
in a spot where you could possibly break bones and stuff
Right.
because
Yeah.
that's the end.
Right. But I don't think that I'll be afraid to die at 90. I think at 90 I'll be like, all right, let's taste every breath. Let's enjoy every beat of my heart. let's let's revel in every sight that I can still behold. When you're 90, it's like I think I would like to think that there's a level of appreciation. However, let me also say this about 90-year-old William Shatner. 90-year-old William Shatner is like a 1970s 70-year-old William Shatner. 90 years old is not what I had been led to believe 90 years old is. This dude is spry. He still has his, faculties about him. He wasn't like in a walker coming down the lander of this ship that went up. This dude is 90 years old.
He's the heaviest 90-year-old I've ever
Right?
seen.
Yes, that's the other thought that I had.
I've not seen a person 90 years old that fat ever.
Right. Because you're not supposed to be. Your body is supposed to at some point stop. You're supposed to become frail and even sunken and gaunt. But this is you and I. We are older guys. We're obviously not old guys because we saw Shatner, but we are older guys. So we remember seeing people like we remember our grandparents when they were in their 60s and
Yeah.
they seemed like they were 100 years old. And today that's just not the case.
No,
You
I was shocked at how big he was when they said he was 90, and I looked at him and I was like, I think I'm looking at a guy that doesn't really look like he's 90, and B, for sure the heaviest 90-year-old I've ever seen.
or a guy that's lying about his age. 90. He doesn't look 90 to me.
I mean,
I,
you compare him to Clint Eastwood. Like, Clint Eastwood looks rail thin like a twig branch, and he's 91.
yeah. Yeah, but Clint's always been a thin guy.
Well,
Clint's
but still, he's thinner than he's ever been.
but
Like,
he's acting and making movies. He's not, come on, 90-year-old guys. My mindset of a 90-year-old guy is someone who's, in a home with a wheelchair pointed in a corner, drooling and babbling to himself. That's what I thought 90 years old was. 90 years old in 2021 is a mind blower, man.
yeah.
Clint Eastwood's with dating a girl in a movie who's my age. He's 91 years old.
But she did fit within the guidelines, so you
Yeah, I
can't give
guess
him crap.
as you get older, it gets, I guess, a little bit more. All right, so Shat is trending number one for obvious reasons. Although there's a lot of stuff trending, for people who do not like the sports conversation. Okay, these are all social conversations that happen to be on a sports template. So it's not like we're going to be talking about game plans and schemes, but there are a lot of people in the sports world who are trending. We've got Brett Favre. We've got, of course, Gruden still. We've got Keyshawn Johnson. We've got Stephen A. Smith. We've got Darren Ravel. We've got Adam Schefter. I mean, these are all things that are legitimately. Now, again, they don't have to do with, schemes or wins and loss records or, that kind of thing. They have to do with other issues of the social kind. So we're going to get into a whole bunch of that. But I also promised that we'll touch on some Kardashian news. Woo! We got some Kim Kardashian news. We're going to go through that. What else do we have? Well, we got a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. Okay. A lot of domestic violence stuff in today's Twitters and all of the other platforms that I choose from. And that'll become apparent as we
Well,
go.
I think that again is because of the Gabby Petito stuff.
But no, oddly enough, no, we've moved on. Gabby Petito is not trending.
Well, when I say that, I mean I think domestic violence has been
Yeah.
front and center for a little while here.
Warren Sapp. I forgot about Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp is trending. All right. But first and foremost, the big one that's trending, and we've already touched on it a little bit, is William Shatner got shot into space by Jeff Bezos. Now, did you see him when he came off and started talking to Bezos?
No, the only thing I saw, I took off to go get some lunch. The only thing I saw was he was driving, Bezos was actually driving them up to the spaceship. And then Bezos was the last guy that locked the door on the spaceship and locked them in.
Yeah, lock them into their death. All right. Well, it's getting some pretty. It happened about an hour ago now. At this point, maybe a little bit more, but it's getting a lot of spin. And I
So
think
he's already back?
he's not even an astronaut. Come on, look, this is fun. They went really high. They got weightless for a second, and they came right back down. But
So it's like 10 minutes.
Glenn.
10 minutes. Shatner, I guess, evidently went for promo for free. And the other two people I heard paid $250,000 each.
Yeah, they paid Chad. Let's not kid ourselves. He didn't go for free. He got
Well,
paid.
no, he got paid to go, but the other people that he went with, they actually paid $250,000.
Yeah, like some Australian guy, and then a girl. I don't even know who they.
So
are.
the price is coming down.
Doesn't matter. And if these people had died, it'd be like nobody would even give a rat's ass. It would have been William Shatner who died. It's one of those deals. William Shatner tragically died today, and a couple other people too. But William Shatner, it'd be like that kind of dismissal of their entire lives, and they paid $250,000 for it. For the opportunity.
I mean, $250,000, it's within reach if you're at the end of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got some kind of fortune amassed and you're like, okay, well, like what's something that I'd like to do before I check out? If I could walk up and give them $250,000 to go to space, kind of wish they'd stay a little longer than 10 minutes, but I might do it.
Might do it. I expect to do it. You say you might do it. I expect to do it. I expect that before I die that I will go to space. Right now, they're blowing these things off every couple of months now. I mean, in 5 years, it's going to be like a regular thing. And somehow I am going to be able to go, whether it's on my 75th birthday, my 80th birthday, or God forbid, if I live to be 100 years old, it will be on my 100th birthday because I have the hook. I was born on July 20th, 1969, the day we went up to the moon. And one of these sons of bitches are going to want to have that as some sort of, hook on their mission.
I think you're going to be a little late getting all the hooks.
Now, what do you think? Somebody else bored on that day? Because I know I'm not the only person bored on that day. But I got this whole angle, and maybe I don't know. I'm just saying I expect to go. I really do. It's not even a matter of would you go into space? Yeah, absolutely. I will go into space. I want to go into space. It seems like it's something that's going to be happening now. I absolutely expect that before I check off this planet, that I will go. That I will go for a rocket ride.
I don't know also that I would like really term it space. Like I think you're on the fringe
But when I
of
go, it will be. When I go 20 years from now, they're going to have this debate's going to be over about the Kármán line. They're going to literally go into space and we're going to float around for a bit and we're going to go much higher. I promise. It's got to be. These are
yeah, I
baby
think
steps.
there's got to be some like, okay, you're floating out there for a while. You kind of like maybe have a sandwich. I don't know. You got to do something out there.
Yeah, I'm going to check into a space hotel. That's how I see this going on. I'm going to be shot up to some sort of floating platform, like a space station we have now, but it'll be a floating platform, and it will be a space hotel, and it'll have like these crazy viewing areas where you can look at the little blue marble down there, and you can have that whole. That's what I expect. I mean, I know I'm not going this year, next year, or in the next 5 years. In the next 20, 25 years, these crazy ego-driven billionaires, the space race between these guys is going to produce some really cool shit. It is. They are. They're going to build some stuff up there.
So how long till the Indians have a casino out there?
Really? Yeah. Why not?
I mean,
I don't think they'll give the Indians that. I think that they're done getting their stuff down here. Maybe the aliens, maybe some alien race that we conquer up there. Who we kidding? We can't conquer no alien races. We can barely get
I
past.
don't know. I do like that. Would be a weekend in space would kind of be fun.
Yes, it would. Yeah. And right now, if it's 250 grand now, what's it going to be in 20 years, right? It'll be, it'll still
Oh,
be
it's
like,
gonna have to come down. You would think.
it'll be commensurate with people who go to Europe, for like summer vacations, like 5, 10 grand.
You ever been to
You want to do it
space? You
right?
must go.
Yes. All right. So I want to play this for us. This is Willie the Shat. He came back from space, and I guess it would be an understatement to say that his mind was absolutely blown. He stepped off this thing and then had a conversation with Jeff Bezos, and the cameras caught the conversation. And Shatner was just rambling like he was tripping balls, just having all of these emotions come to the surface. I mean, it's pretty great, but it's also really interesting. And to your point about Shatner being paid, there is actually a point. There's a couple of key points in this rambling explanation of what he just experienced from William Shatner. The first one is at some point, he's looking at Bezos and he starts to move into an area where he's going to trash Musk and Branson. like, and, positively comparing what Bezos is doing to what those two other fools are doing, but he catches himself because he realizes that he doesn't really want the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, pissed at him. He doesn't want to drive because Shatner's a businessman. So that's an interesting thing where he catches himself on that. And then the other interesting thing is, and this is to the point of him being paid and being some kind of a spokesman, he's going on and on and on. And he actually says, well, and here's the commercial. Like he already knows that he's got to do a commercial for it. And he's just so, but other than that,
You sound like a NASCAR driver, like when they interview him after. Like, I'd like to thank the Toyota the XYZ team.
No, I don't want to give that impression. He gives the, it's like he remembers, oh yeah, this is going to be something that I'm going to be commercially endorsing now. So he makes mention of that to a way. But no, this is so pure. This is really pure. This old man is having an experience.
Okay. All right. I'm excited to see it because a lot of times you see those NASCAR guys and you're like, okay, how long till he gets every name that's on his suit into his like speech?
The other thing that I thought was interesting is Bezos. it's like about 3 minutes into this rambling, the universe, life and death, and then you see life, and then you look down, and it's nothing but death. And there's the black and the blue, and he's going on and on. And at some point, Bezos just looks like he wants to check out. Like, all right, as soon as he pauses, I'm going to turn and talk to somebody else. He's like talking to the boring guy at the party, So watch Bezos. But anyway, this is pretty great. And like I said, it's Shatner's full rant, so we're going to play it. We'll stop it if we want to comment on it. But this is Captain Kirk. He went to space, and now he's back. So here, let's give this a listen. Here we go. All right, can you see it? Is it up?
I got it.
Okay.
The champagne showers have begun. Smiles all around. William Shatner taking in the moment.
Shatner's hot girlfriend. We got to get an age on her. Find out if that's age appropriate.
Everybody in the world needs to do this. Everybody in the world needs to see. Oh my God. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, the little things of weightlessness. But to see the blue cover go whip by, and now you're staring into blackness. That's the thing. The covering of blue, this sheet, this blanket, this comforter of blue that we have around us. We think, oh, that's blue sky. And then suddenly you shoot through it all of a sudden, as though you whip off a sheet off you when you're asleep, and you're looking into blackness, into black ugliness. And you look down, there's the blue down there, and the black up there, and it's just, there is Mother and Earth and comfort, and is there death? I don't know. Is that death? Is that the way death
He's
is?
Truman.
Whoop, and it's gone. Jeez. It was so moving to me. This experience has been something unbelievable. You see, yeah, weightless, my stomach went up, and this is so weird. But not as weird as the covering of blue. This is what I never expected. Oh, it's one thing to say, oh, the sky and the thing and the fragile thing. It's all true. But what isn't true, what is unknown, until you do it, is there's this pillow, there's this soft blue. Look at the beauty of that color. And it's so thin. And you're through it in an instant. It's how thick is it? We know.
I mean, the atmosphere.
Is it a mile? 2 miles?
I mean, it depends on how you measure, because it thins out like maybe 50 miles.
But you're going 2,000 miles an hour. So you're through 50 miles at whatever the mathematics
fast.
are.
Yeah, really fast.
It's like a beat, and suddenly you're through the blue. And you're into black. And you're into, it's mysterious and galaxies and things.
Blah, blah,
but
blah.
what you see
Oh
is
my God.
He's tripping
and
balls,
what you
man.
see down there is light, and that's the difference. And not to have this, you have done something. I mean, whatever those other guys are doing, what isn't, I don't know about that. What you've given me
he started to go into ripping Musk, and he's like, and then thought better of it. So even at 90, that's good. At 90,
when he puts his hands on his shoulders,
right.
and he looks
You
at
are
I don't know about them.
You are the finest billionaire there is. It's like basically what you are the king of space billionaires.
difference. And not to have this, you have done something. I mean, whatever those other guys are doing, what isn't, I don't know about that.
He thought better of
It's
it.
the most profound experience I can imagine. I'm so filled with emotion about what just happened. It's extraordinary. Extraordinary.
All right, now Bezos wants to exit the conversation,
I never recover
but Shat's got more.
I hope that I can maintain what I feel now. I don't want to lose it. It's so much larger than me and life. And it hasn't got anything to do with the little green man with the blue orb. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the enormity and the quickness and the suddenness of life and death of the, oh my God. It's so deep.
So beautiful.
Beautiful, yes, beautiful in its way, but
No, I mean your words.
oh my words.
It's just amazing.
I don't know. I can't even
Dude is
begin
shook.
to express what I would love to do is to communicate as much as possible the jeopardy, the moment you see how the vulnerability of everything. It's so small. This air, which is keeping us alive, is thinner than your skin. It's a sliver. It's immeasurably small when you think in terms of the universe. It's negligible. This air, Mars doesn't have it.
Right there.
Nothing. I mean, and when you think when carbon dioxide changed to oxygen, what is it, 20% or something? That level that sustains our life. It's so thin.
Are we going to have time to do a show?
Dirty.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
that's
Well, come
another
on.
whole
And you shoot
subject.
through. What you were saying about shooting through it so fast.
So quickly, 50 miles
Then you're just in blackness.
you're in death. The moment
This is life.
This is life, and that's death. And it's in an instant, you go, "Wow, that's death." That's what I saw.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
No, Bezos wants to leave. He's looking around for someone to save him.
I had no idea. You know, we were talking earlier before going.
Here he goes. The old man's got his next win.
And you have whatever that phrase is you have a different view of things. It doesn't begin to explain to describe what for me. I mean, everybody's gonna. But and this is now the commercial. Everybody. It would be so important for everybody to have that experience.
All right. Well, there you go. Now he just starts rambling about, how everybody's going to need to do this, which is obviously part of the reason he went up there. So that next time he goes to Comic-Con, he can get up in front of all these people and say, you can meet me at the booth and you can sign up for your own $250,000 trip into space. He's going to be doing.
He talked longer than he was up there.
Dude, he was blown away. I mean, that's how he couldn't find the words because his mind was just completely tripping balls. And I get that. I don't think that he seemed very genuine there. He ain't that good of an actor. Like, you know what I mean? That seemed like an old man who had his entire view of the world changed after 90 years on this planet, which I understand. I mean, a lot of astronauts. Neil Armstrong famously was never the same after going to the moon. That's why Neil Armstrong didn't become a celebrity. Neil Armstrong retired to his home in Ohio, wouldn't give interviews, never talked to anybody because that experience ruined life for him. It just completely changed the way he sees everything. So, I mean, other astronauts have said that about how.
Yeah, and then there was the 80-year-old lady who went a few months ago, and she got back, and a couple of days later, she said she was kind of disappointed.
Yeah, well, she was the real astronaut. She was the real astronaut who got bumped from her flight for, some stupid reason. But yeah, I can't remember her name. Yeah, she was the one that trained back in the day with the right stuff people, with the actual, she went through it all. So she's kind of, I got to give her respect because she did she jumped all the hurdles back in the day. And then they shoot her into. That might have been his daughter. Jeff Glenn says Elizabeth Shatner is 62. That might have been his daughter. It also might have been his girlfriend, Jeff. That's
or Bezos' girlfriend.
No, I don't think so. Because I was watching for that. At first, I thought maybe that is Bezos' girlfriend, but she hugs Shatner, and then Shatner hangs on to the hug. Like he keeps his arm around her for sort of like, she's with him. However, and Jeff might be right about that being his daughter because the kiss, I don't know if we saw it in that video, but when she runs up to him, she gives him a hug and a kiss, and he gives her like the pat on the back during the hug. And the kiss was not Wasn't hot. It wasn't like a hot kiss. It almost could have been interpreted as the way you might kiss your daughter after experiencing a near death
I don't
space
know.
ride.
Chat room siding with me now. I see the girl hugging Shatner is Bezos's girlfriend. That's from the McNairs, and then 100% Bezos' girlfriend.
All right.
I'll
Well,
tag you,
honestly,
Pugs.
I think Bezos could do better. I think that Bezos could be with
Oh,
someone.
dude, come on. With those kind of billions, like, is there any limit to your ability to do better? Like, at
No,
some
there
point,
isn't.
you just got to settle.
There isn't, but I think you could do better than that. I mean, she was a pedestrian hot girl. She was like, you could see that girl at the Galleria this afternoon. That's Bezos needs to be with like a 6'2" supermodel from the Ukraine. That's why
I
I
don't know.
imagine.
Like, okay, if you're gonna go, could do better. Like, I thought that Rocket Blue Origin ship looked a little.
Stupid.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
wasn't like it did
dumb.
not.
It's
Yeah,
not
right.
cool.
I think he could have did better in the design and the coloring and the graphics. Like the whole thing was kind of, like less than.
Not cool. It looks like a big dick. That's what everybody says. It looks like a penis. The rocket, the new Shepard rocket, looks like a big dick. It's a penis. It's got like a big shaped head and then a long phallus cylinder. Yeah.
Could have had like better, like their suits looked a hell of a lot better than the rocket. Like I think they went overboard on the suits. Like, why was Bezos in that suit? Like, not like he did anything that required him to wear the suit.
Because there's absolutely nobody in his life that is ever going to check him. Nobody's going to say, "What are you doing in that suit?" That's one of the cool
Unless
things.
he hadn't taken it off from the time he got back with his brother, maybe.
All right. Oh, wait a second. I wanted to see this. Why is this not the one? There's a picture here that compares the ships. Here. Okay. I guess this is going to be the one we're going to have to look at. But Branson's ship is awesome.
I can only and I haven't seen Branson's, but like Branson seems like a guy that would make his ship look like it's going to some kind of crazy Formula One race or something.
All right, so Bezos' ship is this one right here. A little penis head, like a cylinder. And then this is Branson's little space plane. Look at this thing. This thing looks like something straight out of the Space Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is. There it is. There's Bezos' penis ship. And then the reason, it's got, this is the capsule that they actually come back.
Detaches.
Yeah. But because it's so much, it looks like a penis. It looks like, there's the flying penis. There's the Blue Origin. All right. Here, let's look at Branson's ship. Virgin. What is that called? Virgin Galactic. All right. Even a cooler name than Blue Origin.
I mean, when I was listening to Shatner, I could only think back to like art shows.
Yeah.
And people like explaining their paintings, or people telling you what your painting they saw in my painting, and you'd be like standing there and you'd be like, yeah.
Right,
like, wow.
All right, so here's the space plane. You look at Bezos' space plane is cooler. It's kind of like I guess they have different.
Branson, you mean?
What did I say?
You said Bezos's.
Bezos. All right. What's going on? Oh, look at this. Wings fold up like a fancy sports car. Look at that thing. Come on, man. That's so much cooler looking than the big penis. So in the cool department. Definitely.
Yeah, like look at the windows, like on top and on the side. Like, yeah, the whole like, yeah, it's just not even close.
But I guess it's.
I don't know what those other guys are doing.
Look at that. Virgin's got it. I really don't know. I don't.
It kind of looks like a dolphin there.
Why do they look so different? Like what is like? I guess different utilities. Like there's different reasons for it. Like you remember Elon? Elon used to like attach a Tesla car to the top of the rocket. Remember that when he used to do that? Mm-hmm. That was always cool. And then they'd put a camera in the dashboard and they had a dummy, like a crash test dummy, and you could watch him flying through space. But does Elon have like a spaceship, or is Elon just? I think Elon might just be building rockets. I don't know what. I don't know.
Well, I think if you ever watch any of these movies, like any of the different, starships have different looks. Like, so I think, you can,
that's made up.
well, but I think they're going along those lines. Like, you get to the architect, and the architect's like, okay, or the designer, he's like, okay, can we get this up there? You got to probably have a certain amount of, ways to propel it. Check out the flight navigation type stuff. I don't know.
Oh, here we go. These are Elon Musk spaceships. Yeah.
Those look like kind of a boat.
Look at this one here. Look at this. This one's like straight out of 1950s Flash Gordon. That's not cool at all. That looks like a cartoon rocket.
Yeah, but like on the bottom, like on the top, the other ones, when they're like flying, they resemble kind of the bottom of a boat, as if you covered the top of the boat.
Like this?
Yeah. That to me looks like a boat.
Yeah.
Boat bottom.
So let's go. All right. Elon Musk says SpaceX has assembled Chinese Starship test rocket. Yeah, I don't, you know what? I don't, whatever. I don't know what their goals are really. I know that Branson and Bezos seem to be in the space tourism business. They want to take people on rides. I mean, hey, Virgin wants to build the first space hotel. So he's already got the airline. He's got Virgin Airways and he's got the Virgin Hotels. So now he wants to make the Virgin Spaceship and the Virgin Space Hotel. So that makes sense. That's with his business model, and his shit is cooler. Like, his planes just look cool. Whatever it is, however they get there, they're cooler. Bezos is trying to do the same thing. Bezos says that he just wants everybody to be able to go experience space. I don't know that Bezos has a plan for hotels or anything. But then Musk is actually the guy that's trying to like get there and get back reusable rockets and more of like commercial stuff, like sending satellites and delivering satellites, doing the day in, day out job that NASA used to do with maintaining space stations and launching satellites for telecommunications. So I don't think that Musk is necessary, and I could be wrong, but this is just what I believe. I understand that Musk isn't as interested in the space tourism thing right now in the way that Bezos and Branson is. Musk is, by the way, he's like way further ahead of both of these guys. He's like done way more missions and way more successes, and
So like, do you think they're going to go out and basically refurb some space stations that are already out there and call those hotels? Like, isn't there already like a Russian space station and we've got a space station, and other countries have space stations that are there?
I think there's only one space station, and I think it's now run internationally but I believe we built it. But now I think it's like it's maintained by Russians and us, and I don't think there's a whole bunch of space stations. I could be wrong. Chinese might have something up there. They don't tell us anything, and they've been really pushing hard to get into the space game for a number of years. That's a good question. Hey, you know what? How many space stations are there actually? We know that there are just tons and tons of satellites. Like our
and then like, if you got one and you want to sell it, like, how do you advertise it? Like, do you put a sign out on the lawn of the space station for sale?
I just asked
for guys like Bezos and Branson, Musk.
All right, here it is. I got an answer. So I asked, how many space stations are there? And the answer came back, 1. There's just 1. How many space stations are there in the world as of 2019? Only 1 space station is operational, namely the International Space Station. That's the one that's
operational. Key point.
Okay.
I'm saying, what about ones that aren't operational? Do you go then purchase those and remodel them and turn them into hotels?
I don't think so. I think they would probably be too rickety with old-timey bones, as they say in the house flipping business. You know what I mean? I think those are teardowns.
Yeah, I just bought a space station. I'm about to remodel it, turn it into a hotel. That'd be some good cocktail conversation.
I just bought the remnants of Skylab. That's past space stations include Almas, Soyuz, which was, I guess, Russian, Skylab, Mir, and Chang'e 1. I'm guessing Chang'e 1 was a Chinese space station.
Right.
We know
so have they floated off to nowhere, or?
I think, well, we know what happened with Skylab.
Yeah.
Skylab fell out of the sky. How many space? Let's see. How many space stations are there in space? Just one. Okay, list of space stations. Oh, look at this. Wikipedia's got a whole list of space stations, and it'll probably tell us exactly what happened to them. All right. Name Salyut 1. That was a Russian one. It re-entered our atmosphere in 1971, so it only lasted like 4 months up there before it came back down. DOS 2, another Russian one. That came down in 72. See, most of them don't.
They go up and they fall out after a little
Yeah,
while.
yeah, they don't stay up there. So, okay, 73 one came down, 73 one came down, 75, 70. Skylab, 1979. Skylab was up there from May 14th, 1973 and crashed back to Earth on July 11th, 1979.
6 years.
The one we remember because it was ours.
So maybe you have to maintain them. Like you have to have some kind of jet propulsion in order to keep them out there, or naturally they'll fall back to Earth.
I guess because all of these space stations that are listed here have re-entry dates, and that's when they fell. Like the Mir, which was a Russian, U.S. Soviet/Russian Federation ship that was launched in 1986, and on March 23rd, 2001, it fell back to Earth.
16 years.
Trying to see if there's anything. Where's the one that's still up there? I know the International Space Station is one that always has like French astronauts and American astronauts and Russian astronauts, and they all work together. Yeah, so apparently there's just one still out there floating. There have been a whole bunch over the past 50 years of space exploration, but there's only one. That's the International Space Station, and that's a combined effort by all of the spacefaring nations.
And they somehow have got it figured out how they keep it out there.
Somehow. All right, so congratulations, Willie the Shat. You are now, boy, is he going to be a bore at cocktail parties, huh? I guess I wonder what he's going to talk about now. Ad nauseum.
And here's the commercial.
Oh, yeah. You know, what you're doing, and, those other guys, and, what they're doing. I don't want to go into that. That's when the little bell went bing in his head. You're about to shit on a couple of billionaires who you may need at some point. Do you really want to make the world's richest man, Elon Musk, angry with you, William Shatner?
I think in 90, you can do whatever the hell you want.
I guess. All right, so let's get back into what's trending. Shatner was the big deal. He was trending this morning, went to space, came back, had a mind-blowing experience, and you're probably going to hear at least portions of his tripping balls rant over the next couple of days. Brett Favre, like I said, there's a whole lot of stuff in sports that are trending today. Brett Favre is trending. Do you have any idea why Brett Favre is trending?
I have no idea, but I have suspicions.
It has nothing to do with football. Why do you think he's trending?
Well, I mean, he had some issues back in the day with some females.
Oh, yes, the dick pics, the famous dick pics.
Right. And
Boy,
so
he bounced that by about 5 years. If he had done that 5 years later, it'd have been a lot worse for him.
Yeah, so like that's on my list of suspicions. And he seems to me like he could be
glug 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 glug.
Yep.
Glug glug glug. I'm fine to drive.
Right. Like Joe Namath.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Namath. I don't care about the quarterbacks tend to get themselves into those types of situations after their career. So I would say drinking or females or both.
No, neither. It's a new one for Brett Favre. By the way, the thing with Brett Favre, and I say this as a Bear fan and Packer hater, Brett Favre is, I believe, the only adult male in his immediate family who has not served significant jail time. Like, his family is trash. His family is Mississippi trash. I mean, we're talking about people, apparently, like, we could pull, anyway, it's an old narrative from years and years of Packer hating that they talk about in Chicago, about all the crazy things that Brett Favre's family has been involved in. Well, Brett Favre is trending today because the state of Mississippi is demanding that he return $828,000 that he received from illegally gotten welfare funds. Brett Favre received almost $1 million in state welfare funds that were intended to go to families who needed, welfare assistance. But somehow Brett Favre, so here's what he was doing. So Brett Favre has the Brett Favre Foundation, and it helps people in need. And Brett Favre raises money by having these dinners, right? These big fancy dinners where people come out and it's $1,000 a plate to hear Brett Favre tell stories about, football games and or whatever it is. And his foundation ostensibly then writes a big fat check. And I guess the checks are matched by the state. The state will match as an encouragement to sort of go out there and raise extra money, right? So Brett Favre was doing these dinners and these speeches, and then he was charging his own foundation like a ridiculous speaking fee. You assume these people are doing it for free, and many are. But folks, I can speak to you from a position of total understanding of this because I was involved in working with charities, especially veterans charities, for a number of years. And the things that I saw just made me absolutely disgusted. People find ways to make money. And if they can somehow make it seem like they're doing good and they can get away with bilking the system, they will. The one that I worked for, Hire a Hero, they're still going. And you know that they're legit because the owner, the guy, the CEO, the board, none of the board of directors of Hire a Hero have private jets. That's how you know they're a legit charity. They drive normal cars like Nissans and Toyotas and live in normal houses. And this is just, yes, they draw a salary for running it, but it's not like a 6-figure salary. It's a working man's salary. However, I don't know that you can say that about the people who run Wounded Warrior. I'm just saying, look into it, Google it. But here's the story on Brett Favre. NFL star Brett Favre must return $828,000 he received from welfare funds that should have gone to needy families. Mississippi State Auditor Shad White said in a statement today. The famed quarterback and Mississippi native received $1.1 million in funds from 2 nonprofits whose founder has since been indicted on state and federal charges for their alleged role in the largest embezzlement scheme in Mississippi State history. White said Favre accepted money for speaking engagements that he never attended for Families First of Mississippi, one of the nonprofits involved in the alleged scheme. The football star has said he did not know the funds were illegal when he accepted them. He's a big dumb hick. I didn't know. They just
I was going to say this seems above his pay grade in terms of like a scheme.
No,
like I think whoever's running his foundation or his accountant said, "Hey, look, we got a way that we can make this foundation cover some of your money or make you some money." Because how many athletes have a foundation? Just about all of them.
All of them. Yeah, it's a tax dodge. Yeah.
Right. And so to me, it seems like it's over their pay grade. Somebody tells them that they need a charity or a foundation.
Well, he knew he was getting checks for giving speeches that he never gave. So
yeah, that kind of happens. Like you're supposed to have a board meeting in Colorado and you like go to dinner and you go, "Oh, hey, everybody, we're going to talk about business for a second." And then you send the receipt back to your account and you're like, "Oh, we had a board meeting in Colorado at our ski trip."
That is a sketchy thing that goes on, but this is a little bit different. He was actually just compiling checks for dinners that never occurred, for speeches that he never made. And he was just cashing checks because it was easy. And you're right. He probably above his pay grade is a good way of sort of describing it. However, ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law. He knew that there was something going on where he was suddenly collecting these checks for not doing anything, unless he's just such a narcissist that he thought, well, this is how life as Brett Favre is now. I just go to the mailbox and there's checks there. I don't know what they're for, but I cash them.
They get paid, well, not in his day, but now they get paid such silly money. Like I would imagine there's like this, when they retire and they start getting checks and the checks are so much less, they kind of feel like, well, why wouldn't I be getting that much money? Like you kind of lose sense of reality. I mean, you sign a contract for 200, let's say, 250 million, 260 million, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes money. You're taking in like literally 2 million a month.
It just seems to me to be so nickel and dimey. I mean, if you're Brett Favre and you're going to give a speech for a charity, why are you charging them in the first place? That's the thing that always bothered me. Like when there would be events that we would put together and you had to have like a certain amount for talent. And I was always like, why are we hiring talent that won't do it for free? Well, because the real talent that'll get the people to open their pocketbooks, they ain't going to do it for free. And I'm always like, oh, so they're assholes. So they're bad people. They're just going to use this. They know damn well that the 10 grand that they're going to get to play 5 songs could very well go and feed a whole bunch of people that they're going to be up on stage professing to have great care and admiration for, but they're also going to cash the check.
Well, but Pugs, I take the 25 grand that I'm getting as the talent and I donate it to my foundation.
Yeah, but
I'm not really doing it for gain. I'm doing it to raise money for my foundation.
Yeah. Big corporate charity is gross, is all I'm saying. There's so much graft. There's so much.
But a lot of times you see that they're like, well, those guys are entitled.
Yeah, well, definitely entitled. That's a good way to describe the way Brett Favre probably walks around this world. Yes, I imagine he thinks he's complete. In a statement today, White, this is the state AG of Mississippi, said the recipients of the misspent funds, including Favre and Favre Enterprises, must repay the money within 30 days or face civil lawsuit. This afternoon, Mississippi Today's Ann Wolf reported that the letter Favre received from White said the illegal expenditures and unlawful dispositions were made when you knew or had reason to know through the exercise of reasonable diligence that the expenditures were illegal. Okay. Brett Favre isn't doing reasonable diligence on anything. You know what I mean? Brett Favre is a dumb guy. Football smart in the way that a quarterback needs to be, but he's a dumb guy.
This is going away in 30 days.
Well, he's got to pay it all back. Let's see here.
I'd be shocked if he didn't have the ability to stroke a check for 800-some thousand.
Forensic audit of Mississippi Department. Okay, so here are some of the other people who are named in this. They came down on all of these Mississippi people who were doing these phony charities. Others who received letters from the auditor with threats of civil action: former WWE wrestler Ted DiBiase Sr., known as the $1 Million Man. What a surprise.
Guess what? You're giving $1 million of that back.
Yeah, he's got to pay back $722,000. DiBiase's son, Ted DiBiase Jr., he's got to pay $3.9 million back. Yeah, the kid was in deep. DiBiase's other retired WWE wrestler son, Brett DiBiase, he owes $225,000. Nancy New, the nonprofit operator and private school owner facing embezzlement charges, owes just $2,000. That's $2,000. That's an easy one.
You shouldn't even be on the list.
You get out of the $2,000. Yeah. This is a good one. The Marcus Dupree Foundation. Do you remember Marcus Dupree?
Why do I remember him?
Because he's one of the biggest busts in NFL history. He was like I want to say maybe Oklahoma State or maybe Oklahoma running back. I think that he won the Heisman Trophy and then was just a complete bust. But you go back to your hometown and you're still the guy who was once
right.
Actually, you know what? Let me. I don't know what he was. Let me pull this up really quick. I remember there was a 30 for 30 on Marcus Dupree, and I believe it was called The Greatest Who Never Was, the Marcus Dupree story.
Ooh, that's a rough title.
Marcus Dupree. Yeah, right? Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's see it. Yeah, Sooners, Oklahoma. He played for Oklahoma. Marcus Dupree is a former American football player. He was born and grew up in Philadelphia, Mississippi. There you go. There's the Mississippi ties. Whereas playing in high school attracted national attention, a highly touted, sought-after college football recruit. He played at Oklahoma, where he was named Football's Freshman of the Year, second-team All-American, Big 8. Marcus played spring football. It doesn't say. I guess he didn't. He joined the United States football. Oh, he was a USFL guy. He joined the United States Football League the following season and signed with the New Orleans Breakers. He played for the Breakers for 2 seasons before a knee injury forced him to leave the game. He returned to professional football, playing 15 games over 2 seasons with the Rams before being waived. Okay. Doesn't say here. I guess he's not a Heisman winner, but he was a big name. Here's a rough quote. For every Marcus Allen, Barry Sanders, or Emmitt Smith, there's an Anthony Thompson, Paul Palmer, LaShawn Johnson, and Marcus Dupree. Guys who womp, 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 womp. Although a knee injury, that's pretty rough.
Archie Griffin.
So that's what Archie Griffin. Archie Griffin.
Two-time Heisman winner, Ohio State.
Ohio State, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
He didn't do much in the NFL at all.
Art Schleister, another Ohio State guy who was troubled by demons.
Yeah, gambling.
All right. So there we go. That's why Brett Favre is trending. Let's see. Who else do we have trending? Should we get into this? Keith Olbermann is trending because he's fighting with Darren Ravel, and they're fighting over something that has to do. Okay, we'll get into it. We'll just kind of combine all of these stories. Gruden is trending. Now, of course, Gruden is trending. We all know that John Gruden sent some awful emails making fun of the size of the lips of a black Players Association executive. Then he made some other ones calling the commissioner of football a pussy. He mocked the protocols for concussion and head injuries that the NFL was trying to implement. He didn't want to see women as he did all kinds of awful stuff. He called players queers. He didn't want any queers in the league. He did all kinds of things in emails that basically ended his career. So Gruden is out now. Last night, did you see this? Last night around 6, 7 o'clock at night, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers put out a press release announcing that they were removing John Gruden from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Ring of Honor, saying that John Gruden does not represent the core values of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers football franchise.
What do they know now? they seem like they're out in front of it. Like that's a really quick removal.
Oh boy, can of worms. You want to open that can of worms? Do we need to go into the history of all the people in your Tampa Bay Buccaneers Ring of Honor? Do we really need to take a look at? And this is why Warren Sapp is trending. Warren Sapp has beaten up women. He's been arrested soliciting prostitution. He was fired from ESPN for sexual harassment. Does he represent the core values of the I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Shouldn't the Buccaneers have just ignored that he's in their Ring of Honor? Just not said anything about it?
Well, they certainly did bring attention to themselves, but I'm wondering if they know more that's in these emails that now all of a sudden the Washington football team is requesting that the NFL disclose.
Well, maybe. I mean, so you think? Here's the thing. I don't think. Remember, this entire story, John Gruden got hit with a stray bullet. This was not a let's get John Gruden investigation. It was an investigation into the way that the former Washington Redskins front office conducted themselves during a period of years. And John Gruden, they seized 650,000 emails that were, on the servers of the Washington Redskins franchise at this time. And they've combed through, and now they are sort of selectively pulling out the ones that are like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with what we're investigating, but John Gruden said this. So.
And then Keyshawn came out yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And started stomping on John Gruden, saying that he was not a good guy. He was a phony, a used car salesman. Think about when they won the Super Bowl trophy. John Gruden basically took the trophy from the GM.
Yeah.
Well, they were on the stand. And then the next year, the GM quits midway through the season.
Which you don't do on a defending Super Bowl champion team that you built.
Right. And so it seems to me that Keyshawn knows some dirty secrets that are hidden in the Tampa Bay laundry. And so then maybe Tampa Bay knee-jerk reaction to, oh my God, we got John Gruden. John Gruden's under fire. Keyshawn just brought up some things that happened back in our tenure when he won the Super Bowl. Oh God, what are we going to do? We need to just totally disown this guy because things are coming down the pipeline without thinking, oh my God, we got Warren Sapp in the Ring of Honor too.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you brought up Keyshawn. So Keyshawn, yesterday we played the tip of him on his own show. Keyshawn, he's got a sports radio show in Los Angeles that's syndicated nationwide, and he's really good. I think Keyshawn is really good at sports talk radio. he made the rounds yesterday because everybody was like, "Oh, you've got some things to say about Gruden." So he made the rounds. James is here. Hi, James. Thank you so much for joining us. Hold on, you got us mid conversation. So I'll give you a chance to jump in here in a second. So Keyshawn had more to say. So I want to play a little bit of that because he realized that what he said on his own show was got a lot of heat for him. And he decided, okay, I can expand on that if you want me to really go into details.
When you call somebody a used car salesman, you basically have thrown the heat.
Yeah, that was yesterday. Okay, so let me see if I can find so we don't have to watch all this stuff. All right, here we go. All right. So this is from First Take. All right. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
To draft queers. Then he sat up there, and after all of that, what did he say after that? He goes off, he calls the commissioner the P word. He calls the vice president of the United States the P word. He's against women being officials in the National Football League. I mean, you insulted blacks, you insulted women, you insulted folks from the gay community. The list
Wait,
just
and
went
criticized player safety.
and criticized. I was
trying to reduce.
Oh, I wasn't finished. I wasn't finished. I was saving
I
that.
just wanted to make sure.
Eric Reed, he said that Eric Reed should be fired for exercising his constitutional rights because he had every right to do what he did, whether people agree with him or not. The fact of the matter is you had a right to do it. He said the man should be fired. Everywhere you turn, I mean, he has offended, several groups of people. His career is over.
This guy, Stephen A. Smith, is insufferable. He just goes on and on and on. Okay, they're getting to Keyshawn here.
There's certain things, particularly in this day and age, you don't come back from. And John Gruden cannot come back from this. So before I say, I want to hand it off to you, Keyshawn, because I think your words right now are more important than mine because you played for the man and you were consistent. Like I said yesterday, even when at the time I said, listen, he should be fired based off of the one comment from 2011. I made sure to point out that your words yesterday on your radio show, before anybody has spoken about it, your words, I was like, Keyshawn's been saying this about him for years. Everything he said on the radio, Keyshawn said about John Gruden years and years ago. So your words were very, very consistent. And now they're prophetic and profound, to be quite honest with you. I don't see how he gets away with this. I don't see how he comes back from this. He hasn't gotten away from it, but how he comes back from this.
Shut up!
But he ain't the only one. You, Bruce Allen,
For
you know,
Christ's sake.
you don't have the owner sending these on.
Right.
Like,
this is what we want. We just want to hear from the guy who actually
this
knew
will
him
not
and
be.
played
It's
for
just
him.
the start of everything. I don't even know where do you start with this situation?
You want.
I want to start here. What did you see? What did you see as a player? Because you've been saying this for years, and people were critical of you for having those opinions.
I would say this, Molly. When I was playing, I didn't say anything. Stephen A. remember when I was deactivated from the team and essentially sent home for 6-7 weeks. I didn't say anything. I said, "Hey, I'm happy. I won a Super Bowl. I had my time. It's time to move on." I didn't get into it. I let everybody else just say what they say. And then I finally said, "Man, this dude is a fraud. Y'all don't seem to understand. He's selling you on something and you're buying it. He's been doing that for years." And whether it was he's an excellent quarterback coach, whether he won the Super Bowl, which I'm grateful and thankful that he came in at a time and injected some energy into us so we can get over the hump that year and win the Super Bowl. But it's the talking behind people's back.
Yeah.
That was one of his traits in Tampa. Everything, Stephen A., I love you, Molly, you're great. But as soon as I go around the corner, I can't stand them, you know what's, and this, that, and the other. I got to get it. He was doing that a lot. And you know how assistant coaches are. Assistant coaches have to feed their families, so they're not going to say nothing. Right. But they'll tell you on the side,
that's right.
"Hey, dude, this dude here is a bad guy." Yeah. And I always try to tell people, "Man, that dude's a bad guy. Y'all don't seem to get it." Because he gets on television and he has the scowl on his face and everybody likes him because he won a championship. I had take no personal feelings with me at all about John Gruden. The guy actually tried to get me to come back to play for him the first year I retired. Bruce Allen and him called me and my agent to try to get me to come back and play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to make another playoff run, and I decided to stay at ESPN instead. But I also understood who he was. Am I surprised that this sort of behavior would come out about Coach Gruden? I'm not surprised that he would talk about people in despairing views behind their backs. Not at all. Am I surprised that he used racial insensitive things? Am I surprised that he was acting homophobic situations, talking about the LGBT community? Am I surprised that he went after the vice president, went after the commissioner? No, I'm not surprised. But what I'm surprised about is some of the words that he used, because I never saw that side of him, Molly. Yeah. I can't sit here and tell you that he called somebody out their name, I never saw that. But as far as
like, to your face, it was always positive.
It was a positive thing because I kept it positive, but I also saw through the stuff that he was putting out there. And it's always been that way. It's a funny story. You'll laugh at this though too, Stephen A. Prior to him taking, this is why I say a fraud and phony. Prior to him taking the job with ESPN, it was prior to taking the job with the Raiders, he was at ESPN. It was widely reported he's going to ESPN. 3 weeks before going to the Raiders. Going to the Raiders. John Gruden called me. I'm talking to John. Normal. We had an hour conversation about building the staff and about the players and the defense on the team. Why? But he wanted to know about a guy that I knew that he wanted to bring on his staff. But I knew that was all phony. I'm like, why are you calling me about a team? And he says, well, if I take the job, I don't think I'm going to take the job. You already done agreed to take the damn job. But that's who he is. And you have to know that and take it with face value and deal with it that way. Now, as far as all the emails go, in the insensitive language.
We don't need to do any more of Keyshawn. But the point with Keyshawn is, if you remember back when his football career ended, it was because the great John Gruden couldn't coach him, and he was uncoachable, and he was a diva. And now he's saying, no, this guy was a dick. He was a dick then. He was a dick now. And he didn't break bad on his coach back then. He did. He became, mute, said nothing about any of this stuff, and became a national bad guy. Keyshawn Johnson became a national bad guy, the representative of the diva black athlete who cannot be coached. The term getting Keyshawned became something in the NFL when you are so talented on the field, but you're just such a terrible person off the field that you cannot have a career anymore. That's what the term Keyshawn meant. And he took his lumps and he went and did whatever else that he did with the rest of his life. He never played again, I don't believe. I don't think he ever came back.
But he played for the Cowboys?
Yeah, he did a couple years for the Cowboys.
Terrell Owens played for Keyshawn.
Both of them did. Keyshawn did 2 years.
Keyshawn played for the Cowboys.
I didn't realize that. Okay. So at any rate, he kept his mouth shut about all of the things that he disliked about John Gruden back then. And now he's free to talk. He's free to say, yeah, man, this guy was a total dick. And here's the thing. But he's using terms like fraud, used car salesman. This is a bad guy. And, I kind of get that because I know bad guys. I know people who have, hey, man, radio is filled with people who have these reputations on the air of being these great people who in reality are bad guys, but that never gets out. In Chicago, we have this guy named Eric Ferguson. Eric Ferguson has been the co-host of a show called Eric and Kathy for 25 years now, the most successful radio show in Chicago radio history. He wears a sweater and he does soccer mom radio, Kid Rock kind of stuff, except for instead of appealing to kids with the music, they appeal to, Tori Amos music, music that appeals to soccer moms in their cars. Sweater, the friend of all women, a feminist, and all this. Turns out he's an accused rapist. He's been off the air now for a week because everybody's out of the woodwork saying that, he had an intern that he made routinely blow him and would say, You want to get ahead in this business, you got to give a little. He was that guy. And
I get in trouble for taking a 2-hour lunch. How do people get away with this stuff?
I don't know. But again, this is another example of these guys who have these experience. We all thought John Gruden was this cuddly, fun guy. Chucky,
Did we? I didn't think he was cuddly and fun.
Yeah, I think he was a cartoon character. I think he was seen as someone who wasn't dangerous. I think he was gruff, had a little Ditka in him. Ditka's another piece of shit. Ditka is not a good man either. I mean, these people, how can they be?
But here's the deal. You can't call someone a fraud if they've won a Super Bowl as a head coach. And it's not like it was a Barry Switzer thing where the team was just destined to win no matter what.
Yes, it was. Hey, yes, it was. That team was built and loaded for bear when Tony Dungy stepped down and John Gruden walked right in and won a Super Bowl.
Right, but just a coincidence that they're playing against the team that John Gruden had left. I mean, he gets credit for building something. If Tony Dungy gets credit for building that Tampa Bay team, doesn't John Gruden get credit for building that Raider team?
I don't know. John Gruden certainly doesn't get credit for that Tampa team. He never has.
No, and look, here's where the criticism is valid. You and I both know people that get awesome jobs, and that's what their real skill is. They're not even that good on the radio, or they're not even that good on TV, or not even that good of an accountant or salesman or whatever. But they're just really good at getting awesome jobs.
They're good at the interview.
Yeah, they must interview well, or they must have killer resume skills, or maybe they're just good networkers, and so they get the guy who puts in the word for them.
Most of the people that I know that have jobs are because they've got a network of people who they know, who they've kissed up.
Right, but some people's networking,
bad guy network.
Some people's job acquisition skills far outpace their actual skills to do the job they're getting.
True. Yeah, very true. The falling upward is something that happens regularly.
So maybe that's what John Gruden is, but you can't say he's a complete fraud. I mean,
I don't know.
He didn't blow it. He didn't blow the Super Bowl for Tampa Bay, even if it was loaded.
Well,
and you do have to give him some credit for the Raiders team that he was playing against. And he's coached for other teams and done
Super Bowl. What do you mean? You got to give him credit. It was a particularly weak year for the AFC. It was just a coincidence that the team that he formerly coached was meeting up with the team that he inherited. I don't know. I don't give him that much credit. I look at what he's done in 3.5 years with the Raiders. He's like 15 games under 500. He's like 21-33 with the Raiders. I don't know. I think he was an interesting character. He was, when he first came into the league, he was the young coach. He was going to do it differently. They had the Chucky dolls there. And I don't even know, was he in Oakland or was he in LA? I'm not even sure at what point that he became a Raiders coach initially. Hired by Al Davis, anointed as the next great football mind. I don't know. I don't know that necessarily he has the record to back that up. I mean, he seems like a commercial concoction.
I think Frank Caliendo helped him.
I think Frank Caliendo has definitely a problem with his career at this point.
No, but I think he helped
does
perpetuate the Gruden character.
Yeah. We also pointed out if you go back on YouTube, you can watch all of Gruden's old quarterback schools, where he sits down every year and this is before he was coaching, and he would talk to the incoming quarterbacks, and then he'd give his opinions on them. And he famously said that Mitch Trubisky was going to be one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL, and said that Josh Allen was a wasted draft pick. So
Emil probably disagrees.
Yeah, well, everybody disagrees. I mean, look.
I don't think it's just me right now.
No. And Mitch Trubisky's a fine quarterback, and he would have been a first-round quarterback regardless, but he is certainly not the finest quarterback to come out in the draft in years, as Gruden proclaimed him to be. And Josh Allen has certainly gone on to be an MVP candidate. So, what does Gruden know?
All right.
But the other issue here is the stripping. This is how we got into this, James. This is what you walked into. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have now removed John Gruden from their Ring of Honor, and people are blowing their gaskets over this because Warren Sapp still remains. Warren Sapp has a statue, apparently. They were talking about how they built a statue to Warren Sapp.
What did Warren Sapp do?
Multiple domestic abuse charges, not only domestic abuse charges with women that he has been with, he also beat up a prostitute that he was soliciting back during the Super Bowl in 2015.
Yeah, I think he did it during Super Bowl weekend when you're supposed to be on air, and then he was taken off.
But you can't be taking people out the Ring of Honor for domestic violence. Maybe if they rape somebody. It's
what?
There's different levels of crime. Because now what are we gonna do? We're gonna take Michael Irvin off. He got caught with hookers and ecstasy and all kinds of other fun stuff.
Who did you say? Who are you gonna take off?
Michael Irvin. He got in trouble for.
I don't know that he got in trouble for domestic abuse, though.
Yeah.
I think domestic abuse these days.
Yeah, I think it has to be violent. I don't think it's just simply that you ran afoul of the law because you were caught with some weed.
Yeah, who's the running back?
You don't make
weed.
it was distinction between these two acts of social indiscretion. You don't make a difference between beating up your wife and being caught with drugs.
No, I do. I definitely do. But he also had the prostitute involved, and let's start looking through all of those guys. Do any of them have like a domestic violence call on them?
Well, now, James, hold on. Now, I'm not going to disagree with you here because this is what I'm saying. This is a can of worms, man.
Yes.
You do not want to open this can of worms because
you.
as soon as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers announced that John Gruden was going to be stripped of the Ring of Honor, everybody started going, hey, let's talk about Warren Sapp, another guy who's in your Ring of. And do you really want to go back and check out some of the behaviors of guys who were put into these, these Hall of Fame, team Hall of Fame, so they're not all called Ring of Honors, but all teams have these, legendary figures who are given a place of prominence in their stadiums or in their team history. Do we really want to do that? I mean, there are a bunch of dudes in the 1950s who were doing all kinds of awful shit. Well,
what are you going to do? You're going to go through all their emails too and see if they used the word queer or made some sort of off-color joke or said something about women?
Do we need to go through the Hall of Fame? Do we need to go through the National Hall of Fames and start, fine-tooth combing it?
Take half of those dudes out.
I don't think you can do that. I don't think it serves anything other than people who, live on the gotcha moment. That's all it is. It's just for people to have this momentary moment where they went, gotcha, we got that guy, and then they move on to trying to get somebody else.
It's getting a scalp.
Is O.J. Simpson still in the Football Hall of Fame? Because he hasn't been convicted of murder. You know what I mean? Is O.J. Simpson in the Hall of Fame? I mean, he certainly was in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest running backs of all time. But did they remove him?
Yeah, I mean, if you start removing Warren Sapp, then how do you not remove O.J. Simpson?
And can we talk about baseball? Do we need to bring up Ty Cobb, who is rumored to have murdered multiple people and gotten away with it?
It does. It starts this slippery slope where you're like, wow, okay, so really, and who's the running back? I forgot his name now for Baltimore that kind of started this whole domestic violence.
Ray Rice.
Yeah, he never recovered from that.
Ooh, no, because there was video. We saw him beating the snot out of her in the elevator. That's a rough one. You can have hearsay and people talking about and describing the incident, but when you've got full-on video of that dude drop kicking his girl in an elevator, holy crap!
Yeah, that started it.
You can't defend that. That's harder to defend than just somebody going, he's been accused of. Yeah, James, I'm sorry, I saw you.
No, that's all right. As of January 2021. O.J. Simpson's bust is still in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton.
Should be.
And it will remain there even while he's serving his prison sentence. Remember, he was in prison?
Yeah.
It stayed there through all of that.
But he wasn't in prison for murder. He was in prison for, actually, kidnapping, I believe, was one of the charges that he had because he held people in a hotel room over
memorabilia.
Yeah,
well, it doesn't matter if he goes on a 50-person killing spree or goes and shoots up a kindergarten. The Pro Football Hall of Fame does not remove enshrinees after elections. So that's.
I thought something happened to OJ though at USC. I thought they did something to remove. Maybe did they remove his bust there? Or something. I thought I recall.
I don't see anything about that in this one, but it's specifically about the.
I think he's in the Ring of Honor still at Rich Stadium in Buffalo.
No, you really? I mean, look, I'm kind of on one level. I'm like, that's okay because these. People...
I mean, I have the visual in my mind of seeing it, but I haven't been to Rich Stadium, and a number of years.
We got Jack Kemp, O.J. Simpson,
No,
Jim
you got
Kelly. Who else is there? Who else is in there?
Andre Reed,
Bruce Smith, Steve
Smith.
Tasker,
Bruce Smith,
Andre Reed, Thurman
yeah.
Thomas, Jim Richard, Daryl Talley.
Oh, Thurman Thomas. You forget about Thurman Thomas.
Kent Hull, Fred Smirlis, Jim Kelly, George Sames, Bob Kelsey.
Okay, you are not this big of a Bills fan. You are reading this off of
course I'm reading this. Hell
So
no,
is OJ still? Is he still there?
Hang on, let me see. There's a ton of OJ Simpson was the first one that was inducted in 1980. Still there.
All right.
There you go.
Well, he should be still there because regardless of what you need to be able to compartmentalize people. He was a great football player. O.J. Simpson was one of the greatest running backs of all time. You can't take that away from him just because he did some bad shit. And I get people, well, you're glorifying. No, you're not. You're simply, that's a marker for history that this guy did this in this uniform at this time. We're not endorsing everything that he did or the way he lived his life. And look, do I think that bad stuff should happen to OJ? Yeah, but I can't intellectually say that these people should all be stripped from their, rings of honors and all of that. And why not have the conversation? Yeah, O.J. Simpson's in the Ring of Honor,
right.
But let me tell you about what he did. Why not?
Totally agree with why not have the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is different than the statues honoring the Confederate soldiers. Those happened way after.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we knew that existed. Here, a lot of this stuff is kind of covered up, and you don't find out about it until after the fact. So I do see a difference in the way that those should be handled.
Yeah, the idea that somebody who accomplishes a whole bunch for their individual sports team and then gains themselves some enshrinement in a Ring of Honor or something like that, that is an endorsement of them as a person is garbage. And James, I think you kind of hinted on this. When the teams begin, like what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did, it's because they're embarrassed. That's their own embarrassment. They don't want to have that conversation about John Gruden being out. So they're just going to rewrite history and pretend like that shit never happened. So, should they have gotten rid of him? No, absolutely not. Should the Cowboys get rid of Michael Irving? No, absolutely not. That's why I was sort of playing devil's advocate. I'm not advocating for this to happen. I'm just giving examples of why they are. And I think we know that the reason these big corporations are pulling these people down is because they're embarrassed and they don't want to have the conversation with their advertisers or their station seat licensors. You know what I mean?
They don't want to be protested against. And also the type of people who are making these decisions are able to tell their friends, well, I did something. Gives them a sense of purpose. They're fighting injustice. They're not just some custodian for the stadium's Ring of Honor. They're, I don't know, making the world a better place, they think. But it is funny. John Gruden, for those emails, as terse as they were, he gets taken down, but O.J. Simpson literally killed 2 people. No, he stays.
And Warren Sapp, beat up a prostitute and then beat up 2 of his girlfriends.
What
and then
did the prostitute do to him? I don't know the whole story.
What did the prostitute do to him?
Right.
What if he's Warren Sapp? What the hell could she do to him?
He's Warren Sapp. Why does he need a prostitute? I mean, can't you just be Warren Sapp in a bar? I mean, I have seen radio interns walk into bars and get girls simply for being not Warren Sapp. I mean, Warren Sapp, he can pull, right? And I would imagine he can pull something that's better looking than your average run-of-the-mill prostitute. Have you ever seen the girls on the streets?
Dude, he could be just lazy.
Yeah, that is really what happens. I think that's what it is. He doesn't want to answer questions. He doesn't want to talk about.
Well, and he was married at the time, so it's not like, that's maybe the easier route to go.
Yeah. Okay, so here's something else that's trending, and we may as well stay on theme. I said that these were all sports people trending today.
Great.
Johnny Bones Jones, UFC, one of the greatest fighters of all time. Certainly.
Is he in trouble again?
This guy just cannot get himself out of trouble.
No, he can't. He's such an idiot.
I don't even know what this is, but I already know what it is.
He is the greatest fighter I have ever seen with my eyes. He is, he usurped a guy by the name of Anderson Silva about 5 years ago, who usurped a guy by the name of Fedor Emelianenko about 10 years ago. I mean, these are truly the greatest practitioners of hand-to-hand combat I have ever witnessed with my own eyes. And John Jones can't stop getting arrested for stuff. Now, John Jones got arrested we didn't cover this. I don't know why we didn't, but it was a story I was interested in. So John Jones goes out to the UFC Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, gets inducted into the Hall of Fame as a still fighter. It's very rare that a guy who is still, so he's in the Hall of Fame. He's not retired. Most people got to wait a couple of years after they retire for them people to take a look at their career. No. John Jones is still in the prime, theoretically, of his career, goes into the UFC Hall of Fame. He exits the Hall of Fame dinner, beats up his girlfriend, and gets arrested. So the crazy thing was he trended for two completely separate reasons on the same night. He was trending because he was going into the Hall of, and then hours later he was trending again for drunkenly beating up his girlfriend after the Hall of Fame dinner.
And do I have this wrong, or wasn't he, when he first got started, the guy that broke up some robbery and beat the hell out of a guy?
Saved people. Yeah, there was a mugging that was occurring outside the arena when he was pulling in. This is when he was on the rise, but he wasn't John Jones. He was definitely a fighter that UFC fans were like, that dude's good, but he wasn't Johnny Bones.
Right.
Jones.
So he started out like a superhero,
right?
Like
chased down a mugger, and beat the crap out of him, and got the woman's purse back outside of somewhere in New Jersey.
And then all of a sudden, after that, he just like jumped the shark right there, and just like after that, it's been like nothing but downhill negative messaging from him.
There's a YouTube video. Actually, it's probably just police dash cam video, but it's on YouTube, of him being pulled over while drunk and on drugs, having a conversation with the cop who's, basically just trying to get some answers out of him. And John Jones starts to become John Jones with the cop, which was like, ooh, not good. Like, he's like, come on, man, really? You want to push me? Is that what you're doing? Are you testing me? He's like behind the wheel of some Lamborghini. So you want to test me? You don't want me to get out of this car. You don't want me to get, he's doing that. And it's like, oh, John Jones is a piece of shit. Oh, okay. Now I get it. Now I understand. So John Jones is trending because, again, this was a couple of weeks ago when he got arrested. Well, last night, the UFC announced that they were canceling the contract of Luis Pena, a.k.a. Violent Bob Ross. The UFC just cannot abide by people who slap their girlfriends. They cannot. Violent Bob Ross, his contract has been terminated. We here at the UFC take this very seriously. So please, we hope that he gets the help that he needs, and that maybe someday when he recognizes the error of his way, this whole bullshit thing. And then everybody went, what about John Jones?
Right.
John Jones is still on the roster. John Jones has been arrested multiple times for this bullshit, and yet you're getting rid of a guy who doesn't make $100 million in pay-per-view. You're just dismissing him and taking the high moral ground on this dude. But what about John Jones? John Jones, who has a major super fight coming up, which is going to be, people are saying, the biggest pay-per-view fight in UFC history, and it's only a few months away, and it might be in trouble because of his current legal situation, but they ain't canceled his contract. He's now been involved in these kinds of things 3 times. He went to jail. John Jones went to jail, and they didn't cancel his contract.
It's all about the dollars.
It really is.
Does he have some sort of drug issue too?
Oh yeah. He likes them drugs. He keeps failing drug tests. Yeah. He's but weed. So it's not. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm totally wrong on that. I was getting that confused with the Diaz brothers. The Diaz brothers keep failing drug tests because of weed. John Jones likes cocaine. John Jones loves his cocaine, and let me tell you, wired up John Jones, that's a pretty scary thought. That's because he could do some real damage if he gets out of it. All right, so Dana White was basically cornered by a reporter who asked, Luis Pena. Why are you throwing him on the trash heap of UFC history? But John Jones is still there. And Dana didn't want to answer that question. Dana didn't want to go there. Different situations, he says. Totally different. Yes. What is the difference? One guy makes you hundreds of millions of dollars, and the other guy is, a preliminary card fighter of, minor import.
The violent Bob Ross, as if he's not the painter.
Well, yeah, here, you get a look at him. Yeah, I'll show you what he looks like.
Bob Ross.
He is, okay, violent Bob Ross. Yeah, I suppose that with a name like that, we got to see him, right?
Well, I mean, considering the Bob Ross that I
already see him in my head, so don't ruin it.
There you go. Well, now guess what? Here I am. I'm here to ruin it for you. Boom! There he is.
Okay.
He is the violent Bob Ross.
It's a good nickname, right? I mean, look at it right here. Oh, I'm guessing that looks like a mugshot, right? That looks like maybe what he got in trouble for. There he is, violent
Bob Ross.
There you go, side by side.
Yeah.
You got to admit that is a great nickname, right? I mean, even if he's a bad fighter, he's gonna get a little bit of play because of that nickname. That nickname is really clever. And he's not a bad fighter. I want to say he's like,
well, he's fighting John Jones, so.
No, he's not.
No, he's not fighting John Jones.
No, he's not in John Jones' league. No.
He just got kicked out for domestic violence.
Yeah, his contract was canceled by the UFC because he slapped around his girlfriend. But John Jones, his contract is still in good standing, even though he's been arrested multiple times for the same thing. So there you go. That's almost like the John Gruden can't be in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Ring of Honor, but Warren Sapp remains, and we're just going to move on from all.
And so does O.J. Simpson.
Also trending today, the Rolling Stones are trending today. Do you know why the Rolling Stones are trending today?
I would hope it's because they're all still alive.
Well, they are, thankfully, save for Charlie Watts, who passed a couple of months ago now. Maybe they listen. Maybe they listen to this show because do you remember when Mick Jagger was caught at the dive bar in Charlotte? Wherever, when it was in Charleston, maybe South Carolina.
Yeah, he made a unannounced appearance.
Yeah,
just hung out by himself. Looked like he was enjoying a beer.
You know what? It's not then. It wasn't then. I'm trying to think of when we made reference to this. It was. Do you remember when we were doing suspect lyrics, musical lyrics, songs that have like really, either about being with young girls or
Brown Sugar,
beating up women. Yeah, what? Brown Sugar will no longer be performed at Rolling Stones concert. The band has announced today they will no longer be playing Brown Sugar. And when we were doing that, Brown Sugar was one of the examples. Remember we read it? Because I had no idea that Brown Sugar was about raping slaves on a slave ship. I had no idea.
It is?
Song.
Where were you? Were you not there?
Oh, my. I named a painting Brown Sugar.
Oh, well, you're going to have to rename it.
And you wouldn't believe who owns it.
Brown Sugar Lyrics. Who?
The Lisa Salters from ESPN.
Oh, really?
I didn't know.
And I have a thank you. And I have a thank you letter from her.
Oh,
wow. I might have to reach back out and say, I'm sorry for naming my painting something that was racially
about the
inappropriate
treatment of slaves.
I had no idea.
I didn't either. I love that song. I always thought it was a jam, but I never, I know just around midnight. I just thought he liked black chicks. I knew the song was about black girls, but I thought it was just, Mick saying, I love black chicks, mate. I thought that's what it was about.
Oh my, that's not good.
Are you ready to hear some of the lyrics?
Of the Brown Sugar?
We have never listened to these lyrics before. Are you ready to cringe? We have never listened to these. This song is a favorite of a lot of people. Let's listen to the lyrics. Brown Sugar. Gold Coast slave ship bound for cotton fields, sold in a market down in New Orleans. Scared old slaver knows he's doing all right. Hear him whip the women just around midnight. Okay, so we're on a slave ship. He's describing hearing the slave master, I guess, of the ship beating the women just around midnight. All right. Didn't know that was the first verse, did you? Anybody? Anybody know
These
that?
are the lyrics?
These are the lyrics. Yes, James.
I knew.
You did know this. But why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you? Why are we just finding out now? All right, here are more. Brown sugar, how come you taste so good? Brown sugar, just like a young girl should. That was the line that we got
I remember I
into.
heard that part.
All right, so they are raping and beating female slaves who are on their way to the markets in New Orleans to work the cotton fields. Okay, continuing on now. Drums beating, cold English blood runs hot. Lady of the house wondering where it's gonna stop. Houseboy knows that he's doing all right. You should have heard him just around midnight. Brown sugar, how come you taste so good? Blah, blah, blah. Get along, brown sugar. How come you taste so good, baby? Got me feeling now, brown sugar, just like a black girl should. I bet your mama was a tent show queen. Okay. Did you know what that reference is?
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it used to be slavers or white guys that owned slaves would find their hottest slave and they'd throw her in a tent and everybody would have sex with her. So I bet your mama was a tent show queen and all her boyfriends were sweet 16. I'm no schoolboy, but I know what I like. You should have heard me just around midnight. So the first person narrative of the song is saying that he was raping these slaves himself.
Well, he might have just gone to like a tent pole.
How is this song survived this long?
I don't know, man. But yeah, Mick Jagger here. I'll give you.
I mean, I thought for a while there you were making up other lyrics like that from a song before, and they had kind of taken some out. But this is like word for word the lyrics of Brown Sugar.
Yeah, just reading the lyrics. Rolling Stones retire classic rock song Brown Sugar. This comes from the New York Post. It says here the Rolling Stones retired the classic song Brown Sugar.
I bet you it's not only retired by them. I can't imagine a station in the country will ever play that song again.
Some will, but yeah, the big corporate ones, the iHearts won't play it anymore. The Cumuluses won't play it anymore. I mean, now that the tension's been brought to it, I mean, I like the song. I had never really thought of the lyrics before, but I still like the groove. I still like the beat. Can we just, James?
What?
Give you an assignment. How about a politically correct version of Brown Sugar? maybe something that can be played on,
Yeah, gender fluid sugar. Doesn't have the same ring.
No, it can be brown sugar, but it could be actually about brown sugar. You could.
Oh, you're not going to John Gruden me. I'm not writing a brown sugar song.
You can write about, no, but you can write about making cupcakes or something.
Yeah,
using
pumpkin spice and
wow.
The Rolling Stones have retired one of their most popular tracks due to lyrics that depict the horrors of slavery. The Stones have not played the 1971 hit Brown Sugar on their current tour and said that the blues classic has been removed from their set lists. You picked up on that, huh? Keith Richards, 77, responded to the LA Times.
We've only been doing it around the world for how many years?
Keith Richards, man, that's the definition of fuck you money, right? He doesn't get, you're just picking up on now, huh? Just now.
That's exactly how it sounded, I bet.
You picked up on that, huh? Richards, 77, responded to the LA Times when asked if the Stones had cut the second most performed tune in their catalog amid a climate of heightened cultural sensitivity. He goes on to say, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out with the sisters quite where the beef is. Didn't they understand this was a song about the horrors of slavery, but they're trying to bury it? Okay, so that's Keith goes on. Keith is now saying this song is art, this is a truly, I mean, you cannot take art, and you as an artist should understand, you cannot take it literally. You have to listen to what the artist or the composer intended with the words. And he's saying right now that this wasn't a glorification, that we did a depiction of how bad it was, of what it was like.
Yeah, I mean, they did the other song where the New York City cop shot somebody. I can't remember the name of that. And that was their depiction because they were mad because it happened at one of their concerts.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. But the first verse of the hit song depicts slaves being sold and beaten in Louisiana with references to a slaver who whips women just around midnight. The famous chorus portrays a non-consensual sex encounter between the violent master and a young female slave, while possibly also alluding to heroin use. Okay. I don't know where they get that. What are you just looking for it? So there it is. The Rolling Stones, if you want to see them on tour, you're not going to hear Brown Sugar.
That's all right.
Fine with that. I've heard the song a million times.
If it's so damn offensive, why did you write it and perform it for 50 years?
Well, it's because in their estimation, it's not offensive. It's
an art form.
Yes, it is a depiction of the horrors. Which I totally get. I mean, I think that as a writer, is Stephen King, does Stephen King have to stop or ban all of his books because he wrote about, women being murdered and horrible things? It's an art form. These guys are not saying they endorse it. They're saying this is what happened. We wrote a song about it. But because we live in a climate where people can't handle that.
Right. Like Eminem's really in favor of murdering prostitutes.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And I knew it was a sexual song. Like, you can't help but get that when you listen to the lyrics.
Right.
But I didn't catch the first verse. Like, the first verse is not very audible. Like, I mean, you can kind of hear them talking, but
I know.
During the song, that was kind of all buried in there. And then you do hear the Just Around Midnight and, Brown Sugar, You Taste So Good, like all that. And so
we never heard the first verse because whenever it came on, you're like, oh man, I love this song. This song is great. And by the time you stop, it's just around midnight. I mean, you never paid attention.
Yeah.
To sentences.
I mean,
because you were like, this song's jam. I love this song, man. This groove is cool. And that's where we come in. And then we go back to whatever. But
what about this? If you were a white supremacist, because I know Emil just loves white people, and wouldn't you want this song erased from the public square because it's a constant reminder of evil that your people did to non-white people, and it kind of makes white heritage and especially Southern white heritage look bad?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's you're saying that this is more of a cautionary tale of the horrors of how humanity and that mind think is, right?
Yes, that seems like the purpose why it was written.
But we can't handle that. We hear what it's about, and we automatically assume that the person who wrote it is somehow endorsing this or glory.
Right.
We are stupid.
Like Ice-T really wants us to go out and start killing cops, right? Because he wrote Cop Killer.
Well, come on. I mean,
Ice-T plays a cop on TV for like the last 15 years. He's
now for a very nice bit. But back, yeah, okay. All right. Well, let's just say that they had a very real dislike of law enforcement when those songs were being written. I don't think they were a call to arms the way a lot of people believe that they were.
Right. Of course not.
But to say that, they hated cops. And look, they probably had good reason to. They were probably harassed a lot by cops for looking the way they did. I recently, just over the weekend, watched Straight Outta Compton with my son because my son he's really getting into old school hip hop. He's really discovering we had a conversation about the difference between Public Enemy and NWA. And he understands the difference between, street violence and revolutionary thought. And that is really the difference between Public Enemy and NWA. So we were watching Straight Outta Compton, and they were really, first of all, except for Eazy-E, they were all kind of nerdy. You know what I mean?
Right.
They were artists, you know, they were like writers. Ice Cube, this big scary dude, he was like the weird poet in class who sat and wrote in his journal and, you know, all of that stuff.
His name's O'Shea.
O'Shea, yes, yes,
O'Shea.
yes. And
Sounds very soft.
so, you know, they're them being her, and there's a number of scenes where they're shaken down by cops simply because of the ball caps they're wearing, and you know, whatever, profiling, that's a thing. So when you say Ice-T, and I do think that they had some anger towards I don't know.
Ice-T was already a millionaire when he wrote that, but
yeah, was he?
Yeah, by the time Body Count came around.
Yeah, no, I thought that's the reason Body Count came around, because he made no money off of his earlier stuff. It was all stolen from him. So he decided he wanted to get into the white people game. So he got a metal band together. Anyway, that's my understanding. Anyway, but yeah, you're right. I just
Brown Sugar.
We're talking about brown
sugar. Are you
sugar.
still allowed to like it, or does that make you pro-slavery?
No, you are if you're smart. If you think about things.
I don't know. I think it makes you pro-slavery, Pugs. Oh, you like slavery all of a sudden.
Yeah, it really does, doesn't
you like
it?
raping slaves? Is that what you support?
No, but I like to be reminded of the horrors of our past, and that's a song that serves as almost a
No.
history lesson. So that's
Speech is violence now, Pugs, and you're committing acts of violence by supporting
there you
the
go.
imagery.
I'm a little embarrassed that I got a painting out named that, and it's with Lisa Salters. Like that just kind of feels a little weird.
What does the painting look like? Can we see it? I want to see what it looks like.
That's my home. Okay.
There chains involved?
It's just a slave being beaten. He doesn't understand. He's like,
well, it's abstract. It's abstract.
Cool.
And
is there a black person in
it? Yeah. Well, I perceive it to be a black stripper.
I knew it.
Oh, a black sex worker, a white man. Look at you, a white entitled 1%er artist depicting a black sex worker. How disgusting!
Objectifying and fetishizing a person of color.
Well,
Jesus Christ!
I got an idea. Let's get Lisa Salter on the show and tell her about, about what it really is, and see
that she supports slavery.
She wrote me such a nice thank you. I still have the envelope at ESPN.
And then we get Lisa Salter trending because she owns racist artwork.
Hashtag Lisa loves slavery.
Salter. Let's cancel Salter. Let's do it for the show.
No, I need to. I probably should though. Somehow
reach out to her and tell her that as the artist you've decided to rename it.
I apologize. Well, it was weird how she found the art anyway, because it was during the NBA finals. She had come to town and it was displayed at a restaurant, and like she contacted me and she's like, oh wow, I really like it. And I was like, wow, I guess like I picked the right title for the right kind of, because I don't know, the way I saw it, it looked like brown sugar. And so I have to bring the painting up. I have to get you all a picture of it.
Yeah. Wasn't it on your website, or the ones that have sold to people not?
Yeah, it probably is on my website, but is my website even up now? I don't know. I don't even care.
He doesn't even care. That is such artist cred right there. You just don't even care about the commercialization of it. You don't care. You just all right.
Well, I've been fortunate that like they sell and I don't have to have the website.
Well, let's figure it out. During Pillow Talk tonight, let's.
Yeah, we got two assignments. We got to find out. Oh, and I think on the Cuba trip, I think it's not the Buffalo Evening News. I think it's the Courier Express.
Yeah,
we had two papers.
Did y'all find it?
But that's the two things I want to find. I'll get the brown sugar painting. I'll get an image of that, and then I'm going to try to get the articles out of, it may have been 1979. See, I graduated in 81.
Hold on, just so people understand. This is about a story that we talked about last night.
Yeah, we got ongoing conversation going on here from
Emil violated Cold War doctrine and international
global
policies by vacationing in Cuba back in
sneaking into Cuba.
Sneaking into Cuba. He was a kid. His father and grandfather took him. He was none the wiser. He didn't know what was going on. He thought he was just going to Wisconsin for a weekend, and he ends up in communist.
I knew Cuba I was going the there.
Cold War. You were in communist Cuba during the Cold War. Just wrap your mind around that.
The way you present it now does seem a little odd that I was there, but I'm telling you that I knew I was going there a couple weeks before we went, and how we got there was a little rickety on
Well,
the
of course,
on the
they
prop
told you.
plane.
You're oblivious to it all. You had no idea that there was anything wrong with it. You were just, okay, we'll move on. We don't need to get back in. We can bring that. We can double back to that on the
Okay.
show where we talked about it initially.
So I got to look it up, though. I'm going to try to find the newspaper article because it was in the newspaper.
The Courier what?
Courier Express,
Courier
Buffalo,
Express.
New York.
All right,
Or
let's
the Dallas
see.
Morning News. And it may have been 1979, not 1978, because I think I was a sophomore.
Social Security is trending. Do you know why? Do we know why Social Security is trending today? Social Security is trending because millions of retirees on Social Security are going to get a 5.9% boost in benefits for 2022. This is the biggest cost of living adjustment in 40 years, follows a burst in inflation as the economy struggles to shake off the drag of the coronavirus pandemic. Cool for the old folks who are living longer. I don't care because I'm not going to get Social Security. That well's going to run dry long before I turn 65, especially with people now. Do you know that Social Security
How can
was
it run
designed
dry, dude?
It's not going to run dry.
because it was designed for people to. Here's how it's going to run dry because the boomers are going to sap it and they're all going to live to be 110 years old. We got a 90-year-old dude going into space. Okay, these people
but it's not going to be
collecting-
zero, so you're only going to get 75% of what your check would have otherwise been. But you're not
I'm
gonna
not
get
getting
nothing.
anything.
And they
Millennials
just
they're
print
the ones
money
that-
when they need money. So it's like they're not going to go, okay, we're out of money. They're just going to go print more.
You're not going to get much. It's going to be an inflated currency, and
Here's who's going to get screwed. Gen X is going to get screwed hard because the boomers are going to be the first generation to live long past their expected expiration date. People are going to live to 100. These boomers. So Gen X, the small generation, we're going to get screwed over. Then millennials, which is the largest cohort, they're going to pay into it big time, but they're not going to get as much as they thought because there's not going to be as much there. Gen Z, our kids will be fine, because they'll be surfing all the millennial money. The millennial generation that came before them is going to build that shit right back up to the big. They're going to be boiling over the coffers. So our kids will be all right when they're 65. My generation, nah, we're dead. Are you a millennial, James?
I'm on the cusp. When I was a kid, I was
What
a
year were you
millennial. 77.
So oh no, you're Gen X. You're totally
right. I'm at the tail end of Gen X, and my wife is 4 years younger than me, and so she's technically a millennial. So
81. Yeah, she's a millennial.
Yeah, we're
Gen
right
X
there in the
is
middle.
1965 to 1980. That's if you were born between 65 and 80, you're Gen X. 80 to 2000 is millennial.
Yeah, and this is the advantage from our age group is we had an analog childhood but a digital adulthood, and so we can still completely be fluent in both worlds.
James, we're the most important generational cohort to have ever lived because we not only knew the world before digital connectivity, but we know the world after. 1,000 years from now, no one will know what the world will be considered the dark ages.
You know, 20 years from now, no one will know what we know.
Yeah. But our generation, we have our foot in both worlds. We are the last generation to understand the world before digital connectivity and after. I mean, that's pretty cool. That really is pretty cool.
Then again, like, when's the last time you rode a horse, Pugs? Emil, can you use an abacus? I mean, do we really know the old world?
No, but I
remember the abacus.
But I know how to use a dial phone.
In school.
That's not going to come up, though. When society collapses, it's either cell phones or spears. There is no going back to the landline. There's not going to be a medium technology.
All right, James, I'm not worried. I'm not going to survive when society collapses. You think I'm going to be one of the 5% that make it through? Hell no. I'm going to be one of the first people down.
The landline existed in Squid Games. Still.
Did it?
Just point of reference. Yeah.
Well, that says a lot.
Devin Pike says, when did Gen Y get dropped as a generational label? Yeah, I don't know, but that was Gen Y was the generation
that became millennials.
It was the cohort tag, and then it was renamed millennials probably in the early 2000s.
And that's why Z is Z, because Y
Great
got
to
renamed.
see Devin in the chat room. Shout out.
Yeah, Devin, welcome back. Gen X, and then it was supposed to be Gen Y, and now we have Gen Z. But for some reason, because Gen Y became so important, they got their whole new name, which is, millennials. So good for them. All right, what else is happening? Tanya Brown, who is the sister of Nicole Brown Simpson, she's all angry at Kim Kardashian because of the jokes that Kim Kardashian told on Saturday Night Live. Anybody see him? Anybody see Kim Kardashian? Saturday
I
Night
did
Live?
not.
did.
Were they OJ related jokes?
Some of them were.
Barely. Yeah, barely. It wasn't even. James, you saw it. What did you think? What do you think of her monologue, Kim Kardashian?
Okay, she didn't write the thing, so you can only judge her on delivery, and it was better than I expected, but the bar was pretty low. I thought they did a really good job with the skits. You could tell the cast and the writers were very familiar with her, so they knew what to put her in and where she would shine.
Yeah.
And then they also knew how to draw in the other characters. It really helped that her mom showed up and one of the sisters.
Not only her mom showed up, I mean, a crap ton of celebrities showed up. I mean, and I guess Kim Kardashian is, whether you understand why or not, this is not an endorsement of this. This is just a statement of fact. Kim Kardashian is one of the most influential people on the planet, especially if you're going by the fact that she's got billions and billions of followers. And I don't know why. Don't get mad at me. But yes, Kim Kardashian is an influential person. And when Saturday Night Live told other celebrities that she was going to be hosting, boy, they kicked down the door to show up. I mean, there was one sketch where, I mean, everybody from Blake Griffin to Chris Rock showing up.
Right. Where they did like the Bachelorette copy.
John Cena. They had John Cena, Chris Rock, and Blake Griffin all in a sketch, just being next to Kim Kardashian.
Well, and my wife recognized the other two dudes. I think one of them's from Grey's Anatomy.
One was Chase Crawford, who plays Aquaman, the Aquaman parody on The Boys. Which is a favorite show of mine. But yeah, he was also on, I want to say, like maybe Desperate Housewives or whatever. Yes, they were two people that
I like how she confronted the nudity video just right out the box with her monologue.
So she saw it?
Your whole
Well, I heard a clip of it.
Okay, here. Well, we'll play it for you right here since we got it up. It's very quick. But let's
copyright infringement in one.
Whatever.
I just had to do that for Ed. He's so good at winning.
All right. So Tanya Brown, the sister of Nicole Brown Simpson, one of the victims of, I believe, O.J. Simpson. Right? I mean, we all kind of believe it. Well, I guess the backstory that people might not know is that Kim Kardashian's father and Kim Kardashian's mom, Kris, they were very close friends with OJ and Nicole. Kris Jenner and Nicole Brown Simpson were best friends. And when OJ was on the run, it was Robert Kardashian who was his acting attorney before they went and got the Dream Team. But I mean, remember the guy who came out and read the letter on the night that OJ was running? That was Robert Kardashian. That's the only reason I knew the name Kardashian when suddenly these Kardashian kids started popping up about 20 years ago. I'm like, oh, is that the lawyer's kids? Is that why? Or are they just the famous kids? And then, okay, so here it is. Tanya Brown says that she went too far and that it was appalling for her to take these jokes, about this. Let's listen. Let's see if that's a bit overstated or not. So here we go. This is Kim Kardashian from Saturday Night Live, her monologue. That is a controversial monologue from this past week. She had a bunch of other cool jokes there that I thought were very self-effacing, and she was picking on some people in her family. But those two jokes right there are why Tanya Brown is upset with her. And I don't really get it. I mean,
I do.
Why? What was horrible about those? Were jokes about O.J. Simpson, not about Nicole Brown.
Well, he leaves a mark. You want to take a stab at it. I mean, the other end of the other end of those is her brother. I mean,
sister.
No, brother.
Whose brother?
Brown or sister? Yeah, Brown. Okay,
I
thought it was I thought it was Goldberg.
Yeah, trending because
the other sister. Sister, and the other girls.
I think those were more OJ jokes than they were jokes about the actual murder.
And look, I can understand why it digs around in her open wound and it gets a little salty because people are delighting and chuckling at the horrible, gruesome death of her sister. But she's still allowed to tell the joke, and
then the getting innocent people out of jail. That was another. Because I don't think he's innocent.
No, she's talking about the other people.
She's talking about what she does, how she's been getting innocent people out of jail.
Yeah.
No, wrongly accused is what
Yeah.
She said.
Yeah.
No,
Are
he
you familiar with
defended.
what she's been doing for the last 5 years? She goes around
Yes,
and
but
gets
she
Project
said
Innocence.
her dad would get wrongly accused people out of jail.
Yeah, he was involved. He was one of the founders of Project Innocence, which is now what she's doing.
But you can read that
as OJ, like
as OJ.
okay, I can see that. Except that her dad wasn't one of the Dream Team guys. Her dad, went away. Her dad was his like real estate attorney. But I see what you're saying. Yeah, I didn't pick up on it on that. But I do see now that you're explaining it that way that I suppose you could think. But Robert Kardashian wasn't, who played Robert Kardashian in The People versus O.J. Simpson? David Schwimmer. It was a very funny portrayal.
I never saw that.
And I think
he
the
was
delivery
totally marginalized by the big time attorneys. As soon as the other Johnny Cochran and Dershowitz, as soon as they all came involved, Robert Kardashian was like, "Get in the corner, real estate boy." And he was like, "Okay, fine." But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I think the delivery of them, like 1, 2, 3. Like, okay, you hear it and then you're thinking, and then you like hear the other one, and then you're like, oh my God. And then you hear the other. It's like when you hear the totality of 1, 2, 3, I think, at least in my mind, I didn't have enough time to sort through. And I just went, yeah, that's a little too tough.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. I just don't really think I don't think that she's done some unforgivable sin. I think she's on Saturday Night Live. It's a 30-year-old case. Could it be poor taste? Absolutely. But there is a whole lot about Kim Kardashian that's been in poor taste for years. Was it particularly mean? I don't think so.
I don't think it was her poor taste, though. I think somebody wrote those for her, and she just got up there and read the line.
No, you can't absolve her. She has absolute authority to say, I'm not doing this joke. I'm not doing this joke. Everything that she said there may have been written by someone else, but it is endorsed by her because she is powerful enough that she can say, nope, no, so let's not pretend like she's just up there a scared little pony doing whatever she's told. She's Kim fucking Kardashian. She's got power.
Why does she got West still at the end? Aren't they divorced?
Well, so she matches her kids. It just lines up better on the school paperwork.
Yeah, I bet that's typically the reason that they do it. And also, he's really famous, and she's never shy about trying to glom on things that'll boost her own fame.
Well, you also notice she's still Kardashian West and not Kim West.
Right. Yeah.
He leaves the Kardashian in there too.
Yeah. But that's James. That's exactly what I thought. Because I thought too, I'm like, I wonder why she isn't just going. Because Kim Kardashian is an entity in her own right. Why wouldn't she just revert back to that? And then I thought, well, she's got 4 kids. Kids like to have the same name as their mom, and you know what I mean. It's like, yeah.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of them drop the last name.
Yeah, the ones who don't care about their kids. But this is obviously a concern. Now, seriously, there are a lot of people who get married and then divorced, and they're very angry and they want to drop the name. But some people.
So if she remarries, she's going to drop the name.
No, you've never seen the multi-hyphened woman who remarries, and she
Kardashian West.
She might be Kim Kardashian West. Bowl. She's gonna marry Minute Bowl. She's gonna be Kim Kardashian West Bowl.
Interesting choice. Yeah,
it is. I don't know. I was just coming up with a name there. All right, we're done. We did more show. We did 3 extra minutes of show. We went through pretty much everything that was trending.
No charge.
A lot of it was sports. That's right. That's on us. That's on us. The extra 3 minutes. A lot of
such the givers.
A lot of stuff that was trending. All right, folks. Thank you to James. James down there in New Orleans popping in and helping us out. Thank you to E, the artist right there. Look forward to tonight when we get to see his controversial brown sugar painting that was purchased by ESPN's Lisa Salter, which now he's got to rename. So let's spend some time thinking about between now and the Pillow Talk edition of the show, what we should rename it. But we should see it first. Right, James? Don't you want to see it and then come up with names for it? Because it's abstract. It could be anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll call it the John Gruden.
The Ring of Honor.
Should we post it on Facebook prior to the show so people can start thinking of it?
No.
Debut it on the show.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to see the controversial brown sugar pice of art created by
Amel's pro-slavery art.
Yes, the pro-slavery, Amel's pro-slavery. African-American women are only good for being sex workers.
One thing, that's all Amel sees them for.
Are. He sees them as sex workers. That's why it's brown sugar. And she's a black stripper.
No, not true.
Well, you better rethink. You got about 5-6 hours now.
I'm in really hot stuff here. Like I got a Cuba trip and slavery.
You got 8 hours to come up with a good explanation for why you see black women as only sex workers. Okay. And we'll see you back at 10 o'clock. For the Pillow Talk edition, this has been me, Pugs Company, the high noon edition, every Monday through Friday, noon to 2 o'clock, where we go through all the things that are trending, and then we rally back here around 10 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time for the Pillow Talk edition. We'll see you then. Thanks, folks. There goes James. That's the artist. He's gone too. And